What's going on YouTube? It's Ben back again with our final Sunstrike reveal video. We finally have all functional cards revealed to us now, only some full arts, reverse stellars, and serialized stellars yet to be revealed to us, but we have all functional cards from Sunstrike fully revealed in at least one rarity. So let's take a look at this last set of cards that was revealed to us, and let's talk about them. So our first set of cards are Paleoth and Neandersloth Champions of Keone. So I was expecting Champions of Hephaestus, but Keone is getting a little bit of love in this set in the Earth side. So these are cards originally introduced in Frostfall, so it makes sense that they are now Champions of Keone, as that was the Frost heavy set. So these are some Earth cards getting a little bit of Frost love. So we'll start out with Paleoth, Champion of Keone. So it always counts as a Frost Celestial, plays really well with the Keone stuff. So it can be returned from the Underworld with Keone's effect. It can be used with Champion Morlith and Champion Emfrostix and Original Emfrostix. So this is really nice, plays well with all the other Frost cards for Keone. And then the effect to me is very similar here, basically the exact same as Champ Narpoon, which is one of my favorite cards, which is also a Champion of Keone. And so you can Nexus Earth or Frost, and reminding Narpoon is a water card that can Nexus water or frost, so basically the exact same thing. And then when this Paleo one or more frost, you can special send it to Neandersloth from your hand, deck, or Underworld. So this is almost word for word the exact same, just with Earth Frost instead of Water Frost, with the exception that you can also special send it from the Underworld. The Narpoon Champion of Keone is only from hand or deck. This is from hand, deck, or Underworld, which plays with original Paleoth very well, because when that dies in battle, you can send 2 copies of a card. Well, you can send up to 2 copies. You can put 1 in the Underworld and then 1 into your hand. You can do just 1, but it would have to go to the Underworld first. The one always goes to the Underworld first, and then the second one can go to hand. So this is kind of nice because you can use the original Paleoth to set up the Neandersloth in the Underworld. And then when you use this, you can always have that option to pull the Neandersloth back out of the Underworld for the special ascension. So you're kind of deck thinning, but you're still able to play with that in the Underworld, which is really nice. So cool card. I think it really helps a Paleoth Neandersloth style of play in using those cards, because they're really not playable right now. So we'll see. Cool card. I like that it's basically the Earth version of Champ Narpoon, so we'll see how it plays out. And then we have the new Neandersloth Champion. Also peep a unknown Alestral here, likely coming in the next set 8 here. This was also in the tournament pack Ice Age, as kind of a frozen Alestral in Ice Age. So I'm expecting this to be a brand new Alestral revealed in set 8. Unknown what it is, but it's kind of cool that we're getting teased this Alestral multiple times. And so this new Neandersloth 8/3 to Earth. When this Neandersloth destroys an Alestral in battle, you can enchant Frost from your Underworld to your field, so getting back some more Frost Spirits to the field, which is nice. And then when this Neandersloth leaves the field, you can special cast a Paleoth from your deck or Underworld using Earth from your deck or Underworld. So this is interesting here. So when it leaves the field, this can be from it being ascended over. So if you ascend over this, it left the field. If it is returned to hand with Shield of Achilles, this triggers, or if this is just destroyed in any way, it triggers. So this is really interesting, because you're going to be able to cast out those Paleoths over and over with this card if you're able to recur it. So I think this is definitely better than original Neandersloth. We'll have to see how playable it is. An 8 stat line is very good. Definitely like to see an 8 stat line. That can be a special ascended into as well, is really nice. I like that it also allows not just for recurring using those cards, but also getting the spirits back to use from Underworld. Really help because Frost is an expensive uh, element to play typically, so it's nice to be able to get some of the frost back and then also be able to play your Paleoths with Earth, so you don't have to invest as heavily into the Earth side in your Spirit deck as you might think you have to play all these Earth cards. So you can kind of recur those Earth Spirits over and over and not have to invest as much and still stay a little bit more into Frost. Then next revealed, we had what was not another water card like I had previously predicted. It is the other idea I had as a Champion of Zeus in Arcolith Champion of Zeus. So after our starter deck reveal videos the other week, we did get this teased as kind of this week for this week's reveal video, which we'll cover the starter decks at the end. But I think this is a really cool card. So 6/2, same kind of lith thing, has a normal cast condition attached directly to the Divine in Zeus, casting it out with 2 Thunder. And then when you target an Celestial with Zeus's effect, you can return up to 2 Thunder from your Underworld to your Spirit deck, or enchant them from your Underworld, 2 Thunder from your Underworld to your Zeus. So this is really cool. 6 stat line, very basic kind of thing for a lith. I think that's fine. I like that this one is not pulling the spirits onto like the Elestral, and not pulling it back onto to itself so that it can swing for a bunch of spirits. I like that it's actually going back to Zeus. Helps you keep your Zeus on board, keep your Zeus triggers going, or can just be a little bit of extra healing and get them back in your Spirit deck. I think this is a really cool card. I think this is a really nice card for the Champions of Zeus. Zeus is a good card. If we're focusing on the battle phase and stats, Zeus is really good. I think it's really fun. I think it's something that's going to get better now, especially with this card. Now that we have something out here that's able to kind of do something else along with Zeus and give you another reason to keep that Zeus out there and keep it going. So, good card. I really I really hope this would get a full art. I think this could be a really good full art, but might be saved for some more Shattered Stars whenever that comes back with all the rest of the liths. So that was our last Thunder card to be revealed. And then we had a nice package of Wind here. So Hermes couldn't let Aeolus be the only thing to get some support on the Wind Pantheon. So he needed to add Toxiswarm and Cyclovenom, Champions of Hermes, to this set just to make it more of a Wind set, disguised as a Thunder and Solar set. Toxiswarm is now our Hermes Trickery Searcher, which is crazy. That card was already broken when you can get them in hand, and now that you can reliably get them in hand, even more broken. So when you cast this Toxiswarm, not just normal cast, special cast as well, so that makes it more broken. You can search your deck for a Hermes Trickery and add it to your hand. This is crazy because you could trickery out into another trickery out a Toxiswarm into a Toxiswarm, and grab another trickery. So you just use the same thing, get out the other one. I don't know when you're going to really want to do that, but it's possible. But also doing that would then trigger the Toxiswarm's effect, secondary effect that plays with the trickery, because when it is destroyed by your Wind card's effect, so that is what trickery does. It destroys the your Elestral on field, and then special casts out using the spirits that were on that Celestial that you destroyed. So you're going to trigger this, cast out whatever Celestial from your trickery from your underworld, and then you can enchant one wind spirit to your board when that happens. Then you're getting an extra spirit on it. This is crazy because you could do this into like an original Toxic Swarm, burn, and then you're enchanting. So I believe you get 2 instances of burning because they're going to happen. It's 2 separate things happening. Both of those spirits don't come on at once. I think it's 2 separate triggers of it. So that's crazy. Or you could, you could do this into other things. But this is a really cool card. Definitely going to see play in the Hermes deck. Just another tool for Hermes, which again he is the bug. He's the bug guy in this in this game. It seems like. And then we have Cyclovenom, Champion of Hermes. So a 7/2, 2 wind, and then when the Cyclovenom is sent to the underworld with your wind card's effect, so from a trickery, from a Hermes effect, you can search for a Toxic Swarm, so champion or base, and add it to your hand. So you're getting Toxic Swarms into your hand, which is nice. Thin your deck out, be able to search your trickeries or just threaten the ability to burn. And then you may put a card from your hand. So then you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. So this is really cool secondary effect in that you're able to put back cards that may be bricking your hand, because that can happen in Hermes. You may not always want to have your avioliths in your hand. Those are better to be sent directly from your deck to your underworld to trigger the healing or putting the spirits back onto your Hermes on field. Great for your carry-off Champion of Hermes, that you want to be able to send it to act as that earthquake. This is really cool. Helps get some of those bigger drop cards back into the deck where they're going to have more usefulness being sent from a Hermes effect. I really like it because you get to put it back on the bottom of the card and then draw a card to replace it, and you're not going to be drawing that card. So this is really cool. I think this will see play. We'll have to see. Hermes decks are very intricate anyway in their play style, so I don't even know if they're fully figured out right now, so we'll have to see how the Hermes players add this in, but I think Toxic Swarm, Cyclovenom definitely getting added in. And then I'm going to go down here as well because we also got revealed a nice full art for this Cyclovenom. This was teased kind of like this very small left half kind of was teased with Hermes and Venom's wing. But now we have the full art card for Cyclovenom, Champion of Hermes, and that has a nice Galaxair in the background, kind of looking up at it. I think this is a really cool card. I've seen pictures of it live from Vegas, where Adrive has been handing out packs to everybody coming in. I do believe this card was pulled by himself or somebody that shown off. Looks really cool. The new hollow pattern is super cool. So I really like this art for it. All the full arts are honestly so amazing. Really excited to be able to hopefully get my hands on some at some point here soon. Oh, and then we are not done with wind yet. So our three spots went to the Pantera line. I was not expecting Pantera to get brand new cards, get new effects. Glad this is not champion versions. This is much better to be different non-titled versions of Pantera. But Hydrake now is a 4/2 that when you cast it, so again, it has to be your normal cast. when you normal cast this Hydrake, you can search your deck for a Dragon Celestial and add it to your hand. So very simple effect. The Hydrake line is all dragons. We've got other dragons. We got the Soul Fury line, which this can and might see play with, to make sure you're getting those Celestials in your hand. But you can search your deck for a Dragon Celestial, add it to your hand. Very simple effect, but plays really well. Because the Dragon Celestials, while they're not the most represented subclass in the game, there are really good ones in the game, especially in its own line with the Pantera line. So I think this is a pretty good Hydrake. Very simple, still keeps a 4 stat line, so you might need to protect it in this kind of game now with it being a little bit faster, but you're also setting yourself up in future turns, grabbing out cards, thinning your deck. So we'll have to see if it's really better than previous Hydrake, but I think it could be. I do think there is a good world where you're playing maybe 2 of old Hydrake, 1 of this, or 2-1 either way, just so you're being able to use both, either to kind of try to turbo into the Pantera, or you're trying to search out the Twindra and Pantera with this Hydrake. And then new Twindra is really cool. So now we're a 6 attacker because we're not a 5. We're not necessarily trying to crash with stuff, because now Twindra can attack twice. So 2 heads are better than 1. 2 heads, 1 attack for each. So Twindra can attack twice during your battle phase. When this Twindra is destroyed in battle, you can special cast up to 2 Hydrake from your hand or deck suppressed. So this is kind of cool because you're able to get out a couple extra Elestrals from your hand or deck. Probably want them from your deck, of course, to deck thin. But those Hydrakes do have to be suppressed. So this can kind of clear all the Hydrakes out of your deck here, especially if you went into this Twindra from maybe an original Hydrake or Hard Ascended from the other. This can clear out all of them. So if you do have to crash into, say, a 6 attacker, then you can get those Hydrakes out. Or if you have gotten, maybe you've got the Pantera in hand, and your opponent's trying to out this Twindra, maybe they don't know you have Pantera in hand, well then you can get 2 Hydrake out. If they pass back over to you, then you already have the Ascension fodder to go into the Pantera, which I think is really, really cool. So it kind of takes a little bit of that previous Pantera being able to cast out as many Hydrake or Twindra when it's destroyed by a rune, and changing it up to give it to Twindra, and to be just those Hydrakes, those 2 Hydrakes, but they have to be suppressed. Of course, I think that makes the most sense to just have them as suppressed cards. It'd be a little bit unfair to not have them suppressed and you're casting out 2 Hydrake and getting 2 other Dragon Elestrals. That would be way too much advantage. I do see where you would probably play some of old Twindra as well, just to get into the Pantera, because going into our new Pantera, this card's a beast. I thought old Pantera was pretty good, even though you didn't really ever use it for its effect to get the Twindras and Hydrakes out after it was destroyed by a rune effect, because typically you were winning the game once you got into that Pantera. I still think you're going to win the game when you get into this Pantera too, but it plays a little differently. But I think this is a game ender here. So still 15 attack. We already know Pantera is supposed to be the strongest base attack Celestial in the game. Nothing's really ever going to be over 15, even though like Fulgorix is a pseudo 15 with the -5 stat reduction, even though it's a 10. So it's kind of a pseudo there, but Pantera is supposed to be the highest attack Celestial we have. So when you cast this Pantera, you can enchant it with up to 2 wind from your Underworld and or Spirit deck. So you can get a total of 5 wind on this card, or 5. Yes, it would have to be 5 wind at least, because you do have to be able to trigger this effect on cast. So really 1 wind for each head. Cool, flavorful. And then when the battle begins, you can disenchant wind from this Pantera in order to target and destroy a card. Wow, you thought 15 attack probably would have done it itself, and then you give it and then you give it its own way to disenchant a card and just a card on your opponent's pop a card on your opponent's field. Yes, it has to target. Thank God it targets. This is not a solar card, so of course it has to target. But this is crazy because the battle phase is already there, so you can potentially be popping that shield that's face down. You could just pop the Elestral that you were originally going to have to attack over. Maybe you're going to pop a Divine, pop a Stadium. This card is absolutely crazy. I really think you switch out and go. This is the Pantera you're going to be playing rather than old Pantera. You're going to want to be either putting this to your hand, or this is what you're going to look to turbo into with old Twindra, and then you're going to go into this Pantera, recur some spirits at that. You're not going to be able to do this if you use old Twindra to get into this, you're already going to be in the battle phase, so you're not going to be able to have that pop right away. And trigger this, you might be able to attack originally, and so you might be able to attack for a lot, but you're not going to get that pop. So you do have to be a little bit careful going into this if there's still threats that your opponent has to be able to shield this back, or to be able, some way to out it with, say, a set PTA, and that they can take all that spirit damage, but still out this. So if you get this back to your turn, though, and they can't out it during their main phase, and they have to go to the phase, that's devastation for your opponent, because you're going to pop something on their turn when they go into the battle phase, because this triggers whenever the battle phase begins. So if you got this out, kept it out during your battle phase, and then you've got 5 spirits on it, you go back to your opponent, you get a pop on their turn, you still got 4 spirits on it, and if you want, you could just re-enchant this card. You could re-enchant it to make sure you've got a pop when you start your battle phase, and then still a pop when your opponent's battle phase comes back up again the next time. Like, this is an aggro Pantera as well as a control Pantera. Absolutely crazy card. Definitely watch out for Pantera to be back in the meta. Now we'll move on to our lunar reveals, because this is also a heavy lunar set. And so we got the little Hypnosum Champion of Artemis revealed. We already had the Ectoplasm, but now we've got its little Searcher in Hypnosum. So again, a little 1/1 lunar guy, and when he receives 1 or more lunar, you can search your deck for a Hypnosum or an Ectoplasm and add it to your hand. So you can search for another champion Hypnosum, original Ectoplasm, or champ Ectoplasm. This is how you get that champ Ectoplasm to your hand, though, to be able to do its kind of jump scare for its effect. And then when this Hypnosum is destroyed, you can target an opponent's Elestral, daze and suppress it until their next turn. So this is really cool. So it's playing into the Artemis side of suppression and all the lunar suppression, and then it's also dazing it. So if you're doing this to your opponent, it says until their next turn. So if you're going into your opponent to do this, you're just trying to you're trying to turbo out your Ectoplasm. But if your opponent attacks into this, if your opponent attacks into this, destroys it, you could always, if they've got 2 Elestrals, you could always target the one that hasn't attacked, and then you're dazing and suppressing it. So it's really cool. The daze may not necessarily come into play too much, but the suppression will definitely play along with the Ectoplasm here. So I think this card's really cool. I think this will see play in lunar decks, because even though it's pretty weak, being able to grab the Ectoplasm as help the ectoplasm be able to trigger its effect is also really nice. And so then a reminder of the ectoplasm. So when your hypnosm is destroyed in battle, you can special cast this ectoplasm from your hand using 2 lunar from your underworld. So you're trying to bait your opponent to be able to do it. If they do it, then you get to special cast him out. And then when you cast this ectoplasm, you can expend 2 lunar in order to target a suppressed card and return it to the hand. So this is where it plays with that hypnosm. So if you're able to have your opponent do that, it gets destroyed in battle. You can cast out this ectoplasm, and then you also do the expend, and then you're basically shielding it back to their hand and removing it from the field. So that's really cool. I think they play really well together. We'll have to see. It's kind of in this state of we don't know what it's going to play, so we'll have to see how much play it gets, but I think it's really cool. Now, you thought creator cards were just create a card. No, this is create a whole line of cards now. So one idea from Coder has turned into a whole archetype of Lumavales. So we had original Lumavale. As our very last reveal, we got Twilix. I believe that is how this card is supposed to be said. Since this was revealed in shorts yesterday, I think that's how. Twilix doesn't seem right. I believe it's Twilix, supposed to be a little bit more like Twilight. But it is a 4/1 1-cost lunar Alestral that when it receives 1 or more solar, you can special ascend it to Lumavale from your hand or deck. And then when you cast a card with the same name as a card in an underworld, you can search your deck for a Lumavale and add it to your hand. So this is a very interesting archetype of cards here. So like the Lumavale, being able to negate things if the card is played, or remove that chain link from the chain when cards are cast that have the same name as a card that's already in an underworld. This is sticking with that theming a little bit. So there already has to be the first copy of the card in an underworld. But then when you do it, this allows you to search your Lumavale. So you're kind of setting up things in your underworld to be able to already have your triggers here for a Lumavale eventually, but then this is a way to search it out as well, or you can just straight special ascend into it if you're able to put a solar on it. So if it's already out, put a solar onto it, then you can get the ascension, or a card like Solar Charge, putting a solar spirit from your underworld onto your enchanting onto your field. That's really cool. You can kind of turbo out a Lumavale. That's awesome. And I also like how when you do this, you're going to get another spirit from your spirit deck when you're doing the ascension. So you're already going to set up an extra spirit on a Lumavale, which is interesting because of cards. So we have the Lumavale here as 1 lunar, 1 solar, but now we have 2 more titled forms of Lumavale. So we have the Exalted form, which is 2 solar. So it loses the lunar and becomes 2 solar. So it is the Exalted form. And so this is a defensive Alestral at a 2 attack. And then, so when your Lumavale is destroyed, you can special cast this Lumavale from your hand using 2 solar from your underworld. So if you get your Lumavale outed, this one can come out using 2 solar from your underworld. So you have to have the solar already set up in the underworld here to be able to do this. But as long as it's in your hand, then you can cast out you can get this special cast out from the with spirits from the underworld. And then Elestrals that are not solar enchanted are dazed if this Lumavale was cast that way. So it's really nice. So it's dazing your opponents too. And this is just straight up they're dazed. There is no until the next turn, no until, until your next turn, until your opponent's next turn. Nope. This is just they're dazed. So it's really playing on the defensive side of things. So I think that's awesome. I think that's a really cool strategy. So you want it to be special cast, and then you can daze, and so you can really prevent your opponent from attacking you. And especially if they're not playing something that's able to out things like this, you can kind of wall them off and control, and then set up future plays. And then on the reverse side, we have the Wicked form, so it becomes 2 lunar. So we stats and make it a 8 attack and 2 defense. And then this one can also be special cast from your hand with 2 lunar if you also disenchant 2 solar from a Lumavale on your field. When you do, you can destroy each opponent's face-up cards that are not solar enchanted. So if you're playing somebody who is not playing solar, you are going to be able to pop everything here, which is crazy. So in reality, you daze, kind of wall off, and then you can just disenchant 2 from your exalted form, and then bring this Lumavale, bring the Wicked form out, and be able to pop a bunch of stuff and go in for damage. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff in this Lumavale deck. I'm not too sure exactly on what the right play pattern is going to be, or the right combination of cards, but I think between Twi'leks and the 3 Lumavales, this is going to be really cool. It'll be interesting to see if we make it kind of its own deck versus an engine in a solar lunar deck. I think this has got a lot of room to be played with, especially with the searching and the special ascending into these. So we'll have to see where it lands, but I think this is super cool. I think Coder had a great idea, and I think Dan and the team really ran with it to create a really cool line of Elestrals. So that was the end of our Elestrals revealed, but we do have some full arts that got revealed as well. We got Ash Rabbit, Champion of Hestia, that we had not previously seen. Absolutely adorable art. We've got the Soul Fury, which is a textured full art holo. I really, really want this card. So this is the normal coloration. If you've previously seen when Elestrals did the reveal and revealed the Organized Play Series 5 that'll be coming out alongside Sunstrike, we know the chase card is the X out of 10 full art Sulfuri Stellar. And so it is this same art here, but in the stellar coloration. So this is our original normal colorization of Sulfuri full art. I think this is an awesome card. I'm so excited for Sulfuri and Fire Discard. I really, really got to get this card. At least one of them. A playset would be awesome. But I know it's going to be a really popular card as well, from what I've seen. We also have a Zephyrog, Champion of Aphrodite full art, and I do believe Dan pulled this one the other day when they were opening packs in Vegas. This is a beautiful card. Absolutely beautiful full art card. One thing I did see people talking about is down here on the right side, there is what is potentially like a water nexus form of a Cyanectar, because the antennae do very much resemble a Cyanectar, but they're purple Cyanectars. It's not a stellar. I don't believe it looks like the normal one, and there's not really something that says it's like on a lily pad or whatever, and it's kind of like a darker blue or black head. So could be a water nexus form of Cyanectar that we may get in the future. So something to look out for. Would be really cool if it is. But I think that's a super fun and cool full art. We also have Starbit Champion of Aphrodite full art, the kind of cosmic Starbit. This is just awesome. Probably one of the best backgrounds we've gotten on a card that really like plays with the card itself. Starbit's kind of like the shooting star through the cosmos. Awesome art. Really love this card. And then we've already looked at Cyclovenom, and then we have Imperawat, Champion of Hera. So we've got kind of Imperawat as the big older brother type leader of Hera's family. We got all the little champions of Hera, all the little one cost thunder champions here. Platypulse, Jolton, climbing the kind of chest fur or beard of the Imperawat, the Astrabbit kind of hang on with ears, Riceros riding the arm, and Quackle on its head. This is just such a cool little family thing. Really plays onto the whole family of Hera. The theming, super cool full art. They are doing such a good job with the full arts in this set. And then our last new one that was revealed is the Dragalis Champion of Ares. Did see a picture of this one from out in Vegas. The hollow goes across the fire breath here from the Dragalis. Looks absolutely amazing. Super cool card. Again, I think they've knocked it out of the park and really stepped up the game with these full arts here. And then we've already looked at all those. And then now let's take a quick look just at some art here with the reverse stellars. We've got the Boltuga Champion of Hephaestus, which was not revealed until it was pulled in Vegas. One of my buddy's brothers was able to pull this card from a pack that Dan gave him. Super cool. This is one of the best ones. I know he's not the stellar for the he's not the stellar X out of 99 for the Hephaestus starter deck, but I think this is an awesome reverse stellar. It looks so good. This one's peak. We've got Astrabbit, Champion of Hera. I believe Dan pulled this one and had posted it. It looks awesome. We've got the Starbit Champion of Aphrodite. The black and gold coloration on Starbit is just one of my favorite stellar combinations there is. An unknown one. We also had Winjin. I believe this one was revealed by it being pulled out in Vegas. Awesome coloration, really cool art with this. I think it shows a little bit more personality of the Winjin as well. Super cool, super playful. We've got the Chillalotl, Champion of Kion. Absolutely adorable. The red coloration on this is such a good. And if you notice here in the background, I know it's a little hard to see, but right here in the middle of the background, you can kind of see a little silhouette of what is actually the Abominursa Champion of Kion. So if you go back to Livestream and look at the reverse stellar Abominursa Champion of Kion, this is actually a very zoomed out portion of that. So that card in the background, while the Chillalotl is up here a little closer to this camera's kind of framing, this picture's framing of the Chillalotl. So they're really in the same scene, but this one's in the background, this one's in the front. I think that's just really cool way to do it. And then we have the Lumaru Champion of Ares, which I know Log had pulled yesterday as well, kind of bandaging itself up, and that really cute card. I like how it's playing into the Champions of Ares. You know, it's got their kind of the war and fighting champions, and so you know it's patching itself up so it can get back into Coliseum. Super cool, beautiful card. These reverse stellars look so good. And then our reverse stellars specific to the starter decks are the Tongs of Hephaestus, This one's really cool. You got your Stellar Bellaby here. The color is not like super strikingly different than the original, but I think it really brings out like the red and the purples in here, which is, I bet this card's going to look really good once we start seeing it in person. We've got the family of Hera, I believe this shows that all of the Illustrals, all the champions of Hera, also turned. Um, they also turned stellar, and just the not just the cosmic kind of power here of what Hera's doing, because this turned kind of green from the original one. All of the Illustrals, so she's a nice shiny hunter or stellar hunter herself, which is super cool. And then we have the Bag of Winds back in the bag. We've already been over how crazy this card is, but you've got your Stellar Stratamoth and Nimbugs. Super cool card. This one's going to look really good in person with the Stellar Hollows. And then we have the reinforcements of Ares. So we've got our Stellar Big Guys from Ares. Super, super cool. I'm so excited to be able to pull some of these. And then for our serialized, we've already know about Dougie, and then we've got our Volcarius Champion of Hephaestus, which will be in the Hephaestus starter deck. Quackle Champion of Hera in the Hera starter deck. We've got the Phosphocell Ultra Charge, which this one is going to be the Divine Pack Stellar, so only 99 copies, only available in the 99 Divine Packs in Sunstrike. So this is going to be a really cool card. I've heard good things about this deck as well from people who've been testing it. So those Divine Packs are definitely going to be sought after. This is a super cool card, and Phosphocell has a great stellar coloration as well. So look for that. If you get a Divine Pack, you know you've got one of them. We've also got a Stellar Zipossum. Super cute, absolutely adorable, great white and pinkish purple coloration. Really think that's a super cool stellar card. Champion of Aeolus, which is going to be the Aeolus starter deck, and then Nebuleo, Champion of Ares, in the Ares deck. Hard to say which one is my favorite. I really love the Volcari's coloration, but the Dougie is super cool. I think they're all really awesome. I'm very interested to see what our other ones are going to be. It looks like we've got 8 unknown stellars, so it'll be really cool to see what other stellars we're still looking to get in the main set. And then lastly, we have our stellar box topper here, so our X out of 25, so Suvatuga. I feel like this one doesn't stand out as much. I love the art. I think it's really cool. I just feel like this one doesn't stand out as much. You've got the Imperial. I think this one really shows. That's such a cool Imperial. You've, of course, got your Stratamoth, and then you've got your big old Celestlio. So these are really cool. I'm itching to get my hands on Sunstrike now that people have got it out in the wild even just a little bit. I think this is going to be really cool. And then to talk about what else we got revealed, we did get the list for the starter decks last week. So in our Hera and Aeolus doubled starter deck bundle, we've got Hera's list here. So Hera's got 3 Quackle Champ, 2 Signetric, 1 Imperial, and then 2 Platypulse, 1 Magneros, 2 Jolton, 1 Astrabbit, all champions. I think this is good. Really grabs the most of it. Leaves out the frost stuff in the Snowaddle, Pangawatt, and Parawatt because this is mainly the Imperial deck. So we're gonna play more into that of Hera rather than including the Imperawatt side. But it does give us all those cards that are really good about playing off the spirits coming back to the spirit deck from effects or helping cause those. So your Platypulses, your Magneros, you've got the Searching with the Jolton, and then you've got the Astrabit as well. We've got an original Quackle to kind of play off the healing factor, help recur some of those Thunder. We do see Toxeon and Galvenom coming back to starter decks. So originally starter deck exclusive cards are back in starter decks. Who would know that these cards will will keep getting printed, but only in the starter decks. We'll not talk about the Shattered Stars, where that yes they've been printed, but their main printings are now starter decks, which I find really fun. So we do have a little bit of a burn element going on here. I do think this makes the Galvenom way more playable with Hera, because it's a very costly card, which is why it hasn't seen play, because you have to pay a big cost to potentially get Gorgon's Gaze. But now that you got Hera and other cards that can get those spirits back a lot easier, this card's effect becomes a little bit freer, so it's really, really nice. You got a Boombat here to out some big things. We all know what Boombat's been doing. You've got a original Magneros, which is cool. You got Jolton for stadium searching, and then an original Astrabit. I mean, it's the Funny Bunny. Funny Bunny, big booty, and has a great effect. Can't get away from it. It's Thunder. You knew he was coming back. Got 2 Hera, 1 Scepter. You can only have the 1 Scepter anyway, so not going to give you more Scepters out on the field anyway. You got Mount Olympus, so just getting some extra ways to have spirits on the board, as well as some stat buffing. Is this going to be a little bit more control oriented, a little bit more defensive, until you're able to kind of try to pseudo potentially board wipe, or get your opponent to have to disenchant a bunch of spirits, and lose some resources on field with the Imperial. And then we've got the 1 family of Hera, 1 Race to the Top, so a little bit of removal here with Race to the Top and the Mount Olympuses. You've got your Thunderstorms for Rune Destruction. You got High Voltage, so this is a good way to get the high voltages. We don't have Zapossum and Electropossum in this, but High Voltage is still useful. You got a couple Cryoblast for some extra removal, since we're not as big on the attack stats with these guys. So that's nice to have a little bit of extra removal. Some Divine Healing. Again, we're already moving stuff back from the Underworld onto the field. Divine Healing plays really good. You got Nectar of the Gods here, 2 of the draw power, which this deck probably needs that. You got 2 Alter the Stars, a Gorgons, and a Shield. Of note, again, because Nectar is a card that is banned currently, if you're playing in an official Alestrals event, you can play those banned cards in a starter deck, as long as the starter deck is completely unaltered. So if you're running exactly the Hera deck, those Nectar of the Gods are perfectly legal. As it's a structure straight out of the box deck, you just can't make any changes to it. No side deck. You have to play it as it is. But you do get 2 Nectar of the Gods in there, so might be a reason to play it. And then that comes with 17 Zaptor Spirits and 3 Flurmine. And then the Aeolus, we got the 3 Nimbug, 2 Siracoon, 1 Stratomoth, 2 Pegus Champ with 1 Falacane, 2 Sorlet and a Chrysor, 2 Windjin Champion, a Galaxair Champion of Aeolus, and 2 Exalter Champion of Aeolus. No Tornagin though. No Tornagin Champ, so you really are focusing a little bit more on that Stratomoth and the Chrysor. Chrysor is really good inclusion. I do like that we are including Sorlet and Chrysor back in this. So we've got a nice selection of Aeolus champs, and you're going to be able to use these, get the special cast outs of these. I think this is more than fine. The Tornagin might just be a little bit too much of a cherry on top if it was included. And we've got 1 original Pegus, a Sorlet, and Nemisail for some healing. Nemisail definitely important for this deck because it can get expensive with the Aeolus effect and all of the Nexusing and special casting, ascending. Could probably get really expensive for this, but Nemisail for a little recursion is always nice. Got 2 Tsunami for some protection, your 2 Aeolus, 1 Bag of Winds, and that is the original Bag of Winds. You got 2 Island of Aeolia to search out. You got 2 Tornado for some rune removal. You got one Bag of Winds back in the bag, one Tower of Winds, really good cards. You got two Monsoon of Eurus, so getting some extra wind onto the board as well as suppression to your opponent. You've got Mistral of Boreas, which I think this is a really good inclusion. Card does not see a ton of play right now, but like this is a good card, especially as we get into very much more divine focused strategies, to be able to turn your opponent's um, divine face down or their artifacts face down when they try to cast them, and so then they can't play them that turn. I think that's super cool because you really put your opponent off of what they want to do that turn. You got one Ambrosia for a little bit more healing, Circle the Sky for some more Nexus effects, as well as draw power, two Divine Healing. Again, Aeolus really needs this card to be able to continually use his effect. One Gorgons and one PTA. And then that's 3 Leviathan, 1 Flormine, and 16 Lycoris. So I think this is really cool because you've got kind of a deck that wants to put a bunch of spirits on board with the Aeolus and try to kind of build a big board. It's got a lot of spirits. It is costly, but it gets a lot of things out on board. And then you've got Hera, who is trying to get things out on board and return them, but then ultimately get into an Celestial that is going to cause the opponent to disenchant and maybe kind of destroy their board because they've tried to build wide, but then we can start trying to take those spirits off of the Celestials and kind of out them. So really interesting matchup here. I think it's pretty cool. I like the matchup between it. And so let's look at Ares and Hephaestus real quick. Ares, 3 Nebuleo, 2 Leobrite Celestlio, 2 Kakare Dracare, 2 Lumaru Ruminus, and 2 Armadon champs. And then we've got a Dratora, 2 original Nebuleo. So we got a lot of Nebuleos here. The original Nebuleo is going to have a lot of targets. Here we have an original Heliolith and not a champ, 1 Calfmel, and 1 original Exaltus. Ares is funny because we've got the matchup of artifact divines here. So we have a Reforge, and then we have a Breeze of Zephyrus. We've got 2 Ares, and we're gonna have 2 Spears of Piercing and 1 Armament of Ares. So we've got 2 of the 1 cost, 1 of the 2 cost here in the Spear of Piercing and the Sword of Vitality. We've got 2 Colosseum, the Battlegrounds. So no armory, just the Battlegrounds. I think this makes sense. Keep it simple. Make this your one Colosseum that you're using for this. We've got a singular First Light, 1 Solar Charged, 2 Guardian of Light, 1 Reinforcement of Ares, an Ambrosia, 2 Altar, 2 Pandora's Box, and a Shield. I think all this makes good sense. We're playing here with our artifacts. We've got the Reforge here. We've got some battle stat buffing with the Breeze of Zephyrus and nexusing stuff. Got ways to nexus around the spirits between all of those, which then are we can use our effects. We got Exaltus to do some nexusing as well. Original Helia to play off the artifacts. All really cool things. Seems like a fun deck. Some of the cards I'm not exactly sure, if they're the best in the deck, if we're looking to upgrade it, but we'll talk about that in future once I'm able to kind of dissect the decks and test them out. And then Hephaestus, we've got 3 Boltuga champ with 1 Vesuvituga, 2 original Boltuga. So we're playing with the, we've got the eruption stuff going on here and being able to return eruptions with the original Boltuga as well. We've got a Rumacol champ, 1 Lavalith champion, 2 Bellowbee, 2 Volcaries champions. We've got a Kinleo, great addition always, 1 original Rumacol, and 1 original Lavalith. So now we've got both Lavalith here, so really awesome. We've got 2 Smalltuga, champion of Hephaestus, and 1 Krakatuga. So we really, I like that this was included. So we've got both the Boltuga, Vesuvituga, and the Smalltuga, Krakatuga side. Really cool. And then you've got 2 original Smalltuga, searching out all your fire guys. We've got one copy of Earthquake, two Hephaestus, an Anvil, a Hammer, and Tongs, two Forge, two Original Eruption. Again, you play this exactly as it's listed, you can play it. Two Reforge, one Hephaestus' Jealousy, two Tsunami, one Necklace of Harmonia, an Ambro, two Argo, and a Gorgons. I think this is a really cool deck. I think this is a really, really cool deck. You've got removal. You've got plenty of ways to, do Hephaestus stuff with the artifacts. You've got the Small Tuga Krakatuga line here, which is already really good with the artifacts. Like, they were already good. Right now, I've played a few of these, and if that Krakatuga sits out there, like, it's hard to get it out. And so this is a really cool thing. I think it's probably going to be okay to get into Vesuvatuga and start destroying, placing fire spirits on your opponent's board, and hopefully getting the jealousy and using the jealousy to be able to destroy those. You've got ways to recur it. I think this is pretty cool. We got 4 Teratlus, 12 Vipyro, and 4 Leviathan in this. All makes sense. So this is going to look really cool. I'm super excited for it. Lastly, just to mention, this should be going up on Friday. So day before Worlds, it is the last chance qualifier today. It will be today, Friday. And so I think we have about 40 people. Last time I looked, we'll look at it again. I think there's about 40 people currently signed up or interested in playing. I think we're sitting at 72 current qualifiers. I think we're sitting, right around 72 people for Worlds. Currently, I know not all of these people that are on here are currently in Vegas, are going to be actually attending and playing. But I think we're going to be looking at, with around 40, we know 4 of these people are going to automatically qualify for the World Championships from getting top 4 in the LCQ, as they'll get their full 225 qualifying points. Anybody that's sitting currently at 100 qualifying points, if they get to the top cut, even if they don't get 1 through 4, they're going to get the rest of their qualifying points. And then anybody sitting at 150, as long as they get top 16, which in about a 40 person, if you've already got 150 points, I believe in a tournament of about 40-ish people so far, I think you should definitely be able to get top 16. Is usually, you're probably a pretty decent player that maybe just doesn't have the time to get to some events, or maybe just had a few bad runs in the limited amount of events you were able to play. You should be able to get that last 75 qualifying points in a top 16 pretty easily. And then the prizing is great. So if you're out there, one of these people competing, good luck to you. I wish you all the best. It would be fun to be out there playing alongside of you all, playing with you. But maybe in the future we'll be able to do that. Good luck to you all who do get to qualify from this, as well as everybody that is already qualified for the World Championships. I'm super excited to be able to watch you all this weekend. I wish you all the best. Hopefully you are making something fun out of this format. I know we all wish it was Sunstrike and not necessarily live stream, but I know that there's a lot of practicing that's been going on. I'm really excited to see what people have decided to bring this weekend, whether it be fish and just playing what people know, or if it's going to be something different. I'm really looking forward to see you all. Really looking forward to a great event. Can't wait to watch you all. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, check out my shorts. We are about on, I think today would be day 79, going on 80 days of opening 1 pack daily. Binder is looking super cool so far. Follow along with that journey. Subscribe to the channel, follow along. And then I will see you in the next one. Might look to do a little bit of review of stream matches from this weekend. But I'm super excited. Let me know what you're excited for in Sunstrike, and I will catch you around. Peace.